So here we are up and down this hill like normal during the mornings, afternoons, and evenings. Generally hanging out with my dogs, my son Shepherd and Jack, and my wife. Um, so I'm looking for inspiration. I'm thinking about what I'm going to paint today while taking care of some other chores. And I mention that because it's important. You know, you got to find your place of peace. You got to think about what you want to dedicate your time on. And what I decided on today was a katama plain. It's a grass airstrip on Martha's Vineyard that brings in these awesome little prop planes with so much personality. So this is a blank board. I just want to show you how I start. So I'll show you some of these colors later on my easel, but this is a Montserrat orange. I love this color. It's great for sunsets. It's a very warm background color that can be used for anything. And I mentioned background color because you see how quickly I'm working on this board. I'm toning the white. I'm getting rid of the white to give myself a backbone, give myself layering to build on. And so initially I'm just going with very thin washes of color. And here I'm beginning to get the idea and the feel down of the actual plane itself. This is all temporary in a way because any of this can be changed. The color is thin enough, the paint's thin enough that at any point I can go back and erase if I want or add to. So I'm not stuck here, which is important. But you can see I'm just getting the basic shape of the plane, trying to find my composition. So this is as simple as it is. This is as simple as it starts. Literally just trying to find tones of color that look good together, and just starting with real thin washes of paint just to establish some beginning. I can see what I want to take away. I can see what I want to add to, but you got to start somewhere, right? So you got to just get paint on the board. So if you notice, establishing shadows, establishing the light source, you can already see I'm starting to develop some, some value here with lights and darks. And I'm not worried about jumping in deep with some of these colors because I know that they're going to be deep, like this red that's on the prop plane. It's very strong. It's an important element to the painting, so I'm not being timid about putting color on where I know it's going to be, like the shadow under the plane that's going to hold everything up. You can see I'm starting to work on that a little bit here. And if you've ever seen a person or anything really in the sunlight without a shadow, it just doesn't make sense to your eye. It generally never happens, right? Everything casts a shadow. It's very important to consider things closer to you are going to be a little darker than the things away in the distance. So underneath of that plane is really some of the darkest area that you're going to find on this painting, and it's important to establish that. So without these darks, the lights wouldn't make as much sense. So the darker the darks, the more light your lighter colors do appear to be. So that's part of establishing the values, which really help fool the mind, fool the eye into believing the brush strokes, believing them into being something that's real. They literally are just brush strokes with different values and relationships to each other that all end up adding to make this painting make sense in the end. This is a cool little spot here. You see, all I'm doing is I'm going back on top of these lighter sky colors with the same exact color. It's just thicker. I'm using a palette knife. So a thin layer is going to look different than a thicker layer. And basically that's what I'm doing here is I'm just going back into these areas and adding more contrast, more of the same color to define my lights and darks. And what I find, if I keep my palette somewhat harmonious, I don't really change the paints that I'm using and the colors that I'm using, everything comes together a little bit easier, a little bit more peaceful. And you can see this is just a sketch that's starting to come together. The clouds are starting to have some definition there, which is great. Same with the shadows. And this is my rough palette. It's messy, but I just got started quickly and didn't really organize it too well. These are my staple colors I'm getting ready to show you that I love. The Montserrat Orange. This is Unbleached Titanium. King's Blue. I'll get you that color here in a second. That's a Alizarin Crimson. One of my favorite blues is an Ultramarine Blue. And then I just stick with the yellows. Cad Light, Cad Medium, Cad Dark. That all add up to this. That red was actually a Persian Rose made by Williamsburg. I love it. Check it out when you get a minute. I hope you had a chance to learn a little something today. Go for it when you're painting. Don't hold back and enjoy. See you next time.